None of what I'm about to say here is financial advice. This is about fun. I think you deserve it. I feel like I'm a pretty risk-averse person, but most of what I have going on in my life, at least outside of my family, has a certain level of risk. Business ownership is always a risk, investments are a risk, card games are a risk. We could go on, but it gets a little bit weird talking about interests when you're just some anonymous guy on the internet. Whatever it is, though, my risks are calculated. I'm not a skydiver. The way I look at it is pretty simple. If the upside outweighs the downside, then it's a risk worth taking. And that's assuming that it's something that my head is into because I have to enjoy it as well. That calculation is not just about the money. So I think the takeaway here is that I don't really see risk as a bad thing. It's just part of a formula. And as I look back at the list of videos that I've posted, a lot of them are about risk or reward or both. So I guess that's what interests me because these videos are really about what I find interesting and what I'd like to see more of on YouTube or elsewhere, really. And if I really had my way, this would probably be like an American Ninja Warrior show with maybe a little bit of hand-to-hand combat thrown in, or a World Series of Poker played out across the country in basements and empty warehouses. Something bigger. But since I don't have the talent or the production budget to pull that off, we are here talking about gold, and then a little bit about risk and reward. And how much gold you should have is a topic that I keep coming back to, and the answer is always dependent on how much risk you have. I spotted a video from Backyard Bullion just recently, and his take was that you should own a kilo of gold. And for those of you who don't think in metric units, a kilo is just a little bit more than 32 troy ounces. And I love that kind of video. I'm not exactly sure why BYB came to a kilo, but I have to assume it's something like because he's a spy, and that's how much he could fit into a satchel if he had to hop a bullet train to Prague. It makes plenty of sense in that circumstance. Now, everyone is going to have different risks that they're planning against, so everyone is going to have a different number. I know a lot of the Cliff Dweller channels talk about risk in terms of government spending leading to ruin, or the agenda of certain global political organizations out to wreck the world, and that's a pretty big risk profile. I don't even know how to quantify how much gold a person would need if the economy crumbled and the government was coming after you. But I'd say it's probably a lot. You'd probably never have enough. But on this channel, I still look at risk in terms of what I'm taking on myself. Now, that's either a worst case scenario of a risk that I'm taking personally, like trouble with the business, or a realistic outcome from a wide-scale issue that's going to affect all of us. And that might be something like a stock market crash or an economic recession. So that conversation of how much gold a person needs is interesting to me for all of these different situations. I would actually love to see a series of interviews where people gave their occupation, what risks they're planning against, and then how much they're working toward. Maybe even show what they're stacking. But again, I don't have the budget, and I guess there's probably always that privacy concern in play as well. Without that specific context, everything needs to be considered general information. How much to buy, when to buy, where to buy, what to buy, how to store it. That's all pretty specific. And it's why I like that 3-ounce starting goal, because that would cover a lot of general expenses for anyone. It would cover expenses maybe for 3 months. It might even help you get by for 6 months if you weren't using it as your primary. And to get there, I like that idea of automatic purchases, dollar cost averaging a 1/4 ounce coin a month or a 1/10 ounce a month, and then taking advantage of opportunities like a bonus or profits or birthday or holiday or whatever it is to get in a little bit more when you can. I think that's all a good universal goal if you don't have one specifically. So that's 3 ounces. I like that. And if you want to take that further, 12 ounces is a good longer term safety net. It's basically expanding the 3-ounce idea, but it would cover more than a one-off emergency. A kilo is cool, but the math on that's too hard for me. I can't convert it to months. So I think like 25 ounces, that works out to be about $4,000 a month for a year, or $2,000 a month for 2 years if I was to convert the gold to dollars. 50 ounces, well, that would be double the time frame. And then 100 ounces, you're getting into serious territory. That is a big safety net. And 200 ounces, well, that's a bigger safety net. And I like all those numbers, but they're very specific to what you're up to. And regardless of your risk profile here, if you end up not needing it, well, all of that can be handed down to kids or grandkids or reversed out during retirement. There's a lot more flexibility to gold than simply hoarding it for end times. You can use it for a lot of different things. So back to the question of how much gold you need. I think this should be equal parts serious and fun. It's not like the question of how much life insurance a person needs. That's a simple calculation, and anything further than that, any deep study on that, well, it's kind of depressing. How much gold you need, well, that should be more about how much risk you have, what you're trying to protect yourself against, and then just how much do you like this stuff. So in my particular case, how much gold I think I need, well, I like a number greater than 99. That doesn't mean I have that right now, it just means that that's what I'm working toward. And if you asked me how much gold a person needs, generally speaking, I'd say 3 ounces. Anything more than that is far too relative to the person's situation and not something that some guy on the internet can really answer for you. Speaking of that, though, I've seen a few photos on Reddit and Instagram, and it's 3 ounces of gold with a caption that reads something like, "Some guy on the internet said I needed 3 ounces of gold, so here it is." I think it's hilarious, and I think that the 3 ounce recommendation, well, that's not an outlandish number, so I feel fine giving that. And if that becomes my sole claim to fame, I'll take it. And I guess that leaves us with an open-ended topic with no single answer. But we got to see some gold. We got to think about a fun topic, and we didn't have to worry about total economic ruin. I think that's a win. I didn't even give my pitch for the coins that I think are best. So maybe we call it good there. Let me know in the comments what you're up to. I'd love to hear what your number is, of course. So if you have something in mind, let us know. Is it 10 ounces and 20 francs roosters? I don't know. I'd love to hear about it, though. And while you're there, be sure to hit the like button if you're into the topic. That helps get the word out. Maybe it even helps get the word out to the people who are feeling a little bit nervous about their Bitcoin investments right now. Maybe they could use a little bit of risk mitigation. And if you're still here, thank you again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.